afternoon. I saw a lot of familiar faces. You know.
Yeah, this is the medium, the familiar faces. Yeah. With 11 seats at the current Knesset and 27-ish seats in the polls, it is rather safe to say that you are the front runner in the race to be Netanyahu's heir, which will be no later than 2074 or so. Yeah, because the life expectancy in the Netanyahu family is 101 years.
Yes, exactly. And you are sane, intelligent person, and I couldn't help but wonder, why would someone run for this awful job?
I know it's out of date, but I'm a Zionist. I was raised in a family. You know what? I'll make it even more personal. A few days before my father died, we were sitting in the Arison Tower in the Israel Hospital. And he was, all in tubes and stuff, and yet he was as vivid as always, and as blunt as always. And he looked at me and he said, I'm not leaving you only with the family, but also with the country. Because he took the state of Israel really personally. He was a Holocaust survivor. He came here when he was 17 in 1948 for this. It's not, for me and for him, it wasn't the establishment of Israel, it was the revival of Israel. And I take it personally. And I have 3 children here. And we need to do a better job. My generation needs to do a better job in making this dream last. So there's not a cynical bone in my body about this journey of ours. And this is why I'm doing.
Yet you see that any prime minister in Israel actually stepped down is a tragedy. It might be an indictment, of course, Rabin assassination and so forth. And you see this profession of being Israeli prime minister is a tragedy at the end of the day.
Yeah, I know. It's the political version of the triumph of hope over experience. And yeah, you know what, you're doing the right thing, taking it to the personal level. It is also a meaningful life. Having a life, and I think everyone in this room must share this with me. Having meaningful life is the purpose of the exercise. It is better living. We live in this area that I think what scares us most is going through life and then looking back and saying, okay, I was there, I made some money, I was okay with my children, but this is about it. And this room is solving this existential problem by injecting meaning into what could be a meaningless life. So yes, I think it's a better way of living, even though the odds are against us in Israeli politics, and sometimes I do. There are times I reflect on it. I had a better life when I had your life. When I was a journalist in Channel 2, I was interviewed by Charlie Rose when I was in New York a year and a half ago, and he asked me about this transition from journalism to politics, and I said, I make a quarter of what I used to make, and I work at least twice as hard.
Save the gift.
Yeah. I work at least hard, but at least everybody hates me. So yes, but I think it's more beneficial and rewarding than I thought it would be.
Okay, so if you were the prime minister, what would you tell President Trump in the summit last week in Washington?
I would say we want to go to a regional conference and start the long journey of separating from the Palestinians, because the people of Israel are divided between a minority who wants to live with the Palestinians and a majority who wants to separate from the Palestinians. The thing I'm concerned most about is the security of our people. This should be the compass. And if we will not do anything about it, so there's just going to be, a long attrition of the Jewish identity and the democratic identity of Israel, and therefore we have to do something about it. So I want you, Mr. President, to help me gather around the round table the Saudis, the Egyptians, the Jordanians, the Gulf countries, the players, and the Palestinians, of course, and start discussing what is it that we want to do about Gaza and what is it we want to do about the West Bank.
But it seems, to me at least, that the regional peace, so to speak, is the flavor of the month when it comes to diplomacy. It's a term everyone uses, but means practically nothing. What is it in your eyes?
I tend to disagree. I think it is something. I'll give you an example, which is it's a big micro, but it's a micro to the macro. When you're looking at Gaza, there's a deal to be made. I was talking about this in the end of the protective edge operation when I was still a cabinet member, saying we need to go to some process of demilitarization of Gaza in return of the rehabilitation of Gaza. But we didn't have the in-between players that are needed because we cannot trust the Palestinians. And it's not a very, it might be a bit some people might consider this to be insulting, but it is not. I mean, if you look at the history of the relations with the Palestinians, we cannot trust the Palestinians. And therefore, we need to have something in between, like the Qataris or the Turks or the Egyptians, the kind of bodies that the Palestinians will be more hesitant
to refuse to that.
To refuse.
So you say I will not treat the Palestinians or the Palestinian Authority as a partner for a deal, to use Trump's terms, but you treat them as a public good, a good which is transferred from the Turks to Israel, from Israel to the Egyptians.
I wouldn't
Because this is the
frame it this way. I would say the following: since there was Oslo Accords, there have been 11 rounds of bilateral talks with the Palestinians. I was deeply involved in the last one because I was still a member of the government. All came down to the same nothing. Mm-hmm. So this is not the right course of action. This is just, it's the famous Einstein definition of madness. So you have to find another way of approaching this. And the best way to approach this is the regional conference. I've been talking about this since September 2015. So if this is a race on who said it first, then I probably am winning. Basically, you need to have, and you know what? One of the reasons the bilateral talks always failed is because the Palestinians cannot close a deal by themselves. Because if you talk about Gaza, then you have to have the Egyptians on board because they have a border with Gaza and they are players on this. You're talking about security on our eastern border, you have to have the Jordanians on board. If you're talking about establishing a Palestinian state, then you have to have the Saudis and the Gulf countries because they're supposed to supply them with the means of establishing this state. So you have to have them on board. And therefore, to me, this is the best course of at least starting the process, or jump-starting the process.
So when an American president says publicly, you can either go for 2 states or 1 state, I personally don't care, give or take, that's what he said. Do you think it means that the 2-state solution is dead?
No. I think this means we have now a huge window of opportunity. This is an administration that is very sympathetic towards Israel, and I don't know if you can say this sentence. I mean, it echoed really hard. But basically, this is not a policy. This is just an opening, and it is now we have to ask if it's an opening for what. I think it's an opening for Israel to define its own policies. Why is it that it is a window of opportunity? Because for 6, 7, 8 years now, the Palestinians has a strategy, and the strategy has just collapsed. Their strategy was, we'll do nothing, and we'll make sure there will be an accumulation of the international pressure over Israel. A combination of the kind of pressure the Europeans have put on us, the BDS movement,
Security Council and so forth.
Security Council Resolution 2334, and even some of the voices within the Obama administration. This has all has collapsed in a second, in the moment Trump was elected. So now we could, or we can, negotiate with the Palestinians from a position of power we didn't have in years. And I don't want to see this wasted on inner Israeli politics, which is what is happening right now. And this is the wrong way of approaching it, because we will lose this window of opportunity, because this administration will either lose interest, which is, a probability even more than a possibility.
Trump's nature, yes.
Yes. So either they lose interest, or they will tell us, come back when you have a policy.
Okay.
So I think we should have a policy.
So everything boils down to the regional peace, or regional summit. So can we say that you oppose any unilateral steps made by Israel?
Yes.
For instance, either annexation or withdrawal from specific settlements in the West Bank?
Yes, because we have learned the lesson of the disengagement. We did in the disengagement everything the world has ever asked us to do. We have withdrawn, we have dismantled the settlements. We have, we left them with 3,000 greenhouses for them to start building an economy. And instead of doing so, they demolished the 3,000 greenhouses and built training camps for the Islamic Jihad, and since 2005 shot more than 15,000 missiles on our children. So anything that is unilateral will not work. It has to be part of an agreement, and this agreement have to have around it the power bodies that will enable this to sustain.
So no evacuation without an agreement?
Sure.
Let's speak about Donald Trump. A very interesting topic. How do you see, as a politician, a professional politician, 4 years of profession, what's happening in the United States these days? How do you explain the fact that Donald Trump got elected in the first place?
I'm not going to respond to this, so I'll tell you one thing. I was in Washington during the campaign, and there was there was an ADL conference, and I was interviewed the same way you're doing it now by Jeffrey Goldberg, who's now the editor of The Atlantic, and he asked me the same question. He said, "What do you think about the campaign, or what do you think about..."
So this is a second-hand answer.
Yes, so my second-hand answer will be, and I think I'm going to stick, I said to him, you know what, I'm not going to respond to this, but I'll tell you one thing. Makes the rest of the world feel really good about themselves.
Yeah. Okay, so this is about Trump, but your major opponent is, of course, Prime Minister Netanyahu. What his secret is, in your opinion, when it comes to the Israeli public?
Well, Prime Minister Netanyahu is an Israeli patriot. He's a very smart,
We're all Israeli patriots.
and experienced man, and he didn't have the right rifle so far.
For 11 consecutive years?
I think he's an able man. Politics also has to do with the period you're in, and being the right person for your time. And I think he was for a very long time, and I think we are offering a better horizon for the Israeli people. And
But what do you have that your predecessors didn't have?
I don't know. I cannot talk about myself this way. It will be either
What do you
arrogant
about the
or...
Israeli public that they didn't get?
I think we are at the risk of stagnation, and we, Yesh Atid, myself, we are offering an horizon. We are offering somewhere to go forward to. We are saying, you know what, it's time for us to move on as people, as a country. And besides, there is a global struggle between the forces that are provoking division, and the voices who are talking about unity and responsibility and managing things.
And I think which voices win lately.
Yes, there is a question. That's the risk we are all taking. I think. I look at Israel. Are we moving towards a tribal society that people and politics will be only about the question of how do I make my own tribe larger? Have 2 seats more and win an election, or is it the politics that talks about inclusiveness and about the ability to recreate a society and you know what? Not promising people things, but calling them and telling them that we have a mutual responsibility to each other. This is right now the struggle within the Israeli society, and I think Yesh Atid, and with all modesty myself, represent the voice that says it's time to unify, otherwise we are doomed.
But you have a problem, because the name...
And just one more thing, and also to unify with the diaspora.
Okay.
Because Israel is drifting apart from the diaspora, and this is part of the problem.
We'll talk about it very soon, but first of all, you have a political problem. You don't have a coalition. The name Lapid for the ultra-Orthodox parties is like Voldemort in Harry Potter. I mean, they don't want to form a coalition with you, so you don't have a coalition.
They don't want to form a coalition with me unless I will win.
Okay. But in order to win, you need their votes.
No, in order to win, you have to win.
Okay.
And it's okay. Listen, you do what you do. I've done it for so many years.
Mr. Lapid doesn't even bother to shake your head at the Knesset.
Yes, I have a dispute is too much of a small word, but I have an ongoing rivalry with Mr. Litzman. Actually, one side, I have no problem with him. He has a problem with me.
Okay.
It happened before in politics, the fact that two people didn't like each other.
Yeah.
And usually you find a solution if the numbers are right.
Okay.